Welcome back to Protecting and Preserving Wealth. I'm John Janke. I'm joined as always by Bruce Hosler of Hosler Wealth Management. Bruce, we've got a special guest today.
Thank you very much, John. We have Rob Kanyur, expert in reverse mortgages with Fairway Mortgage. Rob is a great professional in the field of reverse mortgages, and we're very lucky to have him today. Welcome, Rob.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. Glad to be here.
I am so happy to have him join us today to talk about reverse mortgages and what you folks should know. Rob, just as we get started here, I'd like to update our listeners on the options for using reverse mortgages. And I wrote about reverse mortgages in my book, Moving to Tax-Free. Rob, today I want to talk about any updates that have happened in the reverse mortgage industry and how reverse mortgages can be used for financial planning. And in this part one, we're going to have a two-part series. So this part one, we're going to explore using reverse mortgages to stop making a house payment for people that are in retirement. So, Rob, let me ask you the question to get started. What are the requirements to qualify for a reverse mortgage?
The homeowners have to be age 62 or older in most cases. They have to have own the property as their primary residence. If it is a married couple, only one spouse has to be age 62. Thirdly, they need to have ample equity in the property. And lastly, be able to qualify for the loan, as well as the house has to qualify.
Let's just explore a couple of things there that you said. So first of all, only one spouse has to be 62. That's a change in the last few years because you would have one spouse that would do it if they were 62, if the other one was below. So now you have an exception so that if one spouse is 58 and the other one's 62, we can still get a reverse mortgage. Is that right?
Yes, and that you brought up a great point, Bruce, that was not always the case. That changed literally in 2014. So about 10 years ago, a couple would come in to see me and they would say, well, since you lend more on the older borrower, we'll leave my younger spouse off of the reverse mortgage so that we can obtain more funds from FHA. And that turned out to not be so good because if the older spouse predeceased the younger spouse, then the younger spouse was, in many cases, left in a very precarious situation. And that left, somewhat of a black eye for the industry. And so FHA's basically came back and said, hey, we need to protect the surviving spouse. So they put safety features in, guardrails in 2014, and then again in 2015, 2017, and 2020, to where now the underage borrower can remain in the home as long as they want, as long as they continue to pay their property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA, and maintain and upkeep the home. So that was a huge, huge change and improvement that should have been done, quite frankly, a lot sooner than 2014. This loan, home equity conversion mortgage, it was implemented by FHA in 1989. So a lot of improvements in safety features. The good news about this loan, Bruce, is that it's safe and secure and insured by FHA. And the bad news about this loan is that it's safe and secure and insured by FHA. So we'll get, more into that as we progress through this.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the two qualifications you talked about. So one is the homeowner has to qualify. Number two, the home has to qualify. What does the homeowner have to do to be able to qualify for a reverse mortgage?
Great question. That was another feature or mortgagee letter that FHA implemented in 2015, referred to as financial assessment. So prior to April 27th of 2015, a homeowner age 62 or older literally did not have to qualify from a creditworthiness standpoint. That was another had a major impact on borrowers, homeowners that had a reverse mortgage. So in April of 2015, FHA implemented financial assessment to where we're not credit score driven. We don't look at debt to income ratios. However, we do a 24-month look back. We run a credit report now. We do require supporting documentation to show FHA that the borrower can indeed afford to live in the home, whether it be Social Security, pension, annuity income, IRA distributions. We have to show enough income and a clean 24-month history in order for them to obtain a reverse mortgage, which a lot of people were not a big fan of that were originating these reverse mortgages. But quite frankly, personally, I think it was one of the best things that they ever did and should have done a lot sooner.
Well, it's not like they have to have a lot of income to make a house payment, but they have to have enough income to cover the property taxes, the homeowners insurance, which homeowners insurance is going crazy right now on the pricing, right? Because of the fires in California, especially here in Arizona and that. But they have to be able to afford the maintenance and the property taxes and the insurance. That's what they're really looking for. And the other thing I happen to know about is they're also looking to see if they owe any back taxes, right?
We have a client like that right now in New Mexico that has back taxes. She let me know that, made me aware of that last week. So part of the proceeds from her reverse mortgage will go to, get her caught up on her back taxes. So yeah, you bring up a great point there. But yes, we use a residual income calculation to make sure that they have a clean payment history. We have a lot more flexibility with qualifying the homeowner because, as you mentioned, they no longer have a mortgage payment. So we're not hitting them with a mortgage payment. We're not credit score driven, we're credit history driven. And we also look at to make sure that the house qualifies as well.
Okay, so what is the qualification for the house? Now, it can't be like a mobile home that's on wheels still. I know that. But are there other qualifications that our listeners need to know about for their home to be able to qualify?
We bring that up with them in the initial consultation with you, Bruce, and basically it has to be their primary residence, meaning they have to occupy it for 6 months plus 1 day out of the year. It can be a single family home, townhome, planned unit development, which is referred to as a PUD, a double wide manufacturer, which I've done a lot of those up in northern Arizona on a permanent foundation with the fixtures.
So if they have the stem wall up, that's what they have to have.
Yeah, and we're doing one right now for a client in Maricopa where it's required that they have an engineer cert completed as well. There's some additional requirements for manufactured condos are a hot commodity right now, or a lot of our clients are looking to do a reverse mortgage on a condo age in place, or they want to purchase a condo in retirement. We have to make sure that it is on the FHA approved condo list. My company here at Fairway, if it's not on the approved list, we're working on a couple cases right now, we can get it approved within 30 to 60 days, which is fairly quickly when you're dealing with a condo project and FHA.
Yeah. John, I know you have a question for Rob. Why don't you go ahead with your question?
You just mentioned not being on that FHA list, Rob. What other challenges do you run into when you're trying to help people secure a reverse mortgage?
Their equity position it can be a challenge as far as making sure they have at least 50% equity in the property. We do have some clients that have less than 50% equity in the property. That's referred to as a shortfall, and they'll actually come in with funds at closing to complete their reverse mortgage transaction.
So if they have other investments, they can pay down the mortgage essentially. I mean, when you close, they pay down that mortgage a little bit so they get within your numbers of 50% or 40% or 30% loan to value, right?
Correct. Yeah, I say probably 1 out of every 5 cases, they will come in with funds at closing to pay down the equity position to complete this, because it makes sense for them to do that. If they're eliminating a $1,500 a month mortgage payment, they're going to cash flow by $15,000 to $20,000 a year. And if that's their forever home, then we look at the numbers and, make sure that they do plan on that being their forever home. And then the long-term cost is going to outweigh them continue to make a mortgage payment for the next 30 years.
That's very great that you bring that up, Rob. That in my book, Moving to Tax-Free, is the first topic that I talk about. Is I see the reverse mortgage as a great tool for people that are in retirement and still have a mortgage payment. So think about it. Let's say they are making a $2,000 a month payment, and after that money, the $2,000 a month is freed up. That's $2,000 a month that's tax-free, because they have been paying taxes on that and using it to pay their mortgage, but they're not really getting a deduction because the standard deduction is so high, it's not really helping them. So this $2,000 is tax-free income to them. Now, sometimes this can help keep them, in order to make the $2,000 a month payment, they might be taking distributions out of their IRA and increasing their income, subjecting themselves to higher income taxes, And number two, it could be affecting them with what's called IRMA, income-related monthly adjustment amount. That is the Medicare premium amount that you have taken out of your Social Security or you have to pay. So now they have IRMA penalties because their income's so high because they have to make the payment and take distributions out of their IRA. If we use a reverse mortgage, they don't take the distributions out of the IRA. They don't fall into the IRMA penalties. And the difference they could have is tax-free income to spend on travel, on visiting the grandkids, home improvements, or other fun things like this. For some people, a reverse mortgage can be an amazing financial planning tool.
Bruce, I'm really glad you said that because, Rob, I know there's been a lot of negative information and sometimes, to be honest, false information about reverse mortgages. What are some of the incorrect things that you've heard or clients have come to you with misperceived notions, I guess?
Well, that's a great question, John. There's 4 or 5 different objections to a home equity conversion mortgage, the reverse mortgage insured by FHA, which has been around since 1989. We have to bear in mind that the reverse mortgage was born, the first reverse mortgage in this country was done in 1961 in the town of Portland, Maine. And from 1961 to 1987, in many cases, or in some cases, I don't know the actual numbers, but at the end, when the last surviving spouse moved out of the house or passed away, in some cases, the bank did take the house away.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So 37 years later, that's the number one objection or concern is that I'm going to lose my house. The bank owns the home and takes the house away
Sure.
At the end. And it's still on the internet. It's still on Google. It's still horror stories about.
Well, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right, Rob?
Well, that's what Abraham Lincoln said. So, but the only way someone can lose their house with a reverse mortgage is the same way that they can lose their house with a traditional mortgage or no mortgage. You have to pay your property taxes. You have to pay your homeowner's insurance. We have some clients that have free and clear homes that aren't carrying homeowner's insurance. You have to carry homeowner's insurance, pay homeowner's insurance, pay your homeowner's association's due if you're lucky enough to live in an HOA, maintain and upkeep the home. And as long as you do that, the loan does not become payable and due until you reach age 150.
Wow.
So it really is a fail-safe program. So that's the number one objection is fear of loss. I'm going to lose the home, the bank's going to take the house away at the end. That was my, parents' concern when we did their reverse mortgage back in 2016. And I insured them. I go, no, that is not the case. That hasn't been the case since 1989 when FHA took the program over. The second concern or objection, John, is that these are too expensive. These are a ripoff. These cost an arm and a leg to do. And they are more expensive for a reason. There are, 20 different ways that you can utilize a reverse mortgage as a coordinated strategy in retirement. Dr. Wade Pfau, who's the top retirement researcher in the nation,
Yep.
who's been done studies and research on this for the last 10 years, basically said it's cost versus benefit. It's not the cost, it's the benefit. And the benefit of this loan, the benefit of a reverse mortgage far outweighs the cost. In fact, he went on to further say that the cost of a reverse mortgage is not doing one at all. So it's cost versus benefit. So if they plan on this being their forever home, yes, it's going to cost them 3 to 4 times more than a traditional mortgage or a home equity line of credit that doesn't cost anything. But those are dangerous and risky in retirement based on what retirement researchers are finding in their studies, that they've done with, Dr. Wade Pfau, Dr. Barry Sachs, Harold Levinsky, Sean Pfeiffer. The list goes on of the studies and research done out of Texas Tech Center of Retirement Research, Boston College, and most recently, Ohio State University.
I believe you mean the Ohio State University.
Excuse me. Yes.
I said sarcastically as a Michigan fan.
There you go. I'm with you on Michigan. Thirdly is that the kids get left holding the bag with this deal, that the kids are left with nothing or no equity. And that's simply not the case. This is a non-recourse loan with no personal liability. So the most important thing in retirement, and Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong, is cash flow, portfolio longevity, paying less in taxes and leaving a larger legacy to the heirs. So 95% of the time, including with my own parents, the reverse mortgage holder at the end is going to leave a larger legacy for the heirs in many cases. Mom and dad's net worth from 2016 to 2022 was $250,000 higher by them taking out the reverse mortgage early when they didn't need it or want it. It was a want-based loan of first resort versus a loan of last resort. It's more efficient to leave the kids cash or a life insurance policy at the end than it is to leave equity. And if we have a declining market where values are going down.
Oh, you mean like what's going on right now?
Maybe.
Or maybe kind of staying just level?
Yeah.
And the stock market's going up?
As we record this as a note on June 24th of 2025.
Exactly. And so it is inefficient. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from top financial advisors like Bruce and his colleagues and retirement planning professors that don't have a horse in the race per se, that it is not efficient to leave equity to the children. It's more efficient to leave them cash or a life insurance policy, so on and so forth. So those are the three main objections. And then the fourth would be fear. And, what is fear? Fear of the unknown. I just want to get facts from someone that actually knows about these, that has done these, that teaches on the subject. I teach continuing education to CFPs and to real estate agents. I was just down in Tucson last week teaching CE to realtors down there with regard to fear, false evidence appearing real. They're getting their information from erroneous resources. I won't mention any names of a lot of top retirement radio show hosts that are syndicated across the nation that may have the initial DER that are giving out inaccurate information. They do not understand the importance of leveraging home equity in retirement. 43% of homeowners age 62 and older are still making a mortgage payment. Social Security check comes in, mortgage payment goes out. Social Security check comes in, mortgage payment goes out. So what do? They call up Bruce and they pull more money out on top of their RMDs, their required minimum distributions, and they're going to run out of money sooner in most cases by not leveraging a portion of their equity in the property.
It's just lazy money is what it is. Rob, this has been a great conversation. As a tax guy, I'm always interested in the tax angle, but I'm going to put my next question into our part 2 series about paying off the reverse mortgage line or loan and the tax benefits for that. We have a second part 2, folks, that is coming up. I'm very excited about it. Rob, thank you for joining us today.
Rob, you mentioned educating. That's why we're talking to you today. If one of our listeners wants to talk to you, how do they best reach you?
Best way to reach me is via email or cell phone. My email is robk@home.com, robk@home.com, or they can call 602-361-1587. My website is www.reverserob.com.
And we're going to put your contact information in our show notes, as we always do with Bruce's. What are the best ways to reach you at Hosler Wealth Management?
Hey, you can reach us, folks, at hostlerwm.com, hostlerwm.com, or call either one of our offices in Prescott, 928-778-7666, or in Scottsdale, 480-994-7342.
Bruce, you teased the tax piece of this. I'm looking forward to starting the second part of our conversation with that. We'll talk to you both next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Investment advisory services are offered through Mutual Advisors, LLC, DBA Hosler Wealth Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Mutual Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Mutual Advisors, LLC, and Mutual Securities, Inc., collectively Mutual Group, are affiliated companies. Forward-looking commentary should not be misconstrued as investment or financial advice. The advisor associated with this podcast is not monitored for comments, and any comments should be given directly to the office at the contact information specified. Any tax advice contained in this communication, including any attachments, is not intended or written to be used and cannot be used for the purpose of avoiding federal or state tax penalties. 2, promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any transaction or matter addressed herein. And 3, tax preparation and accounting services are offered independently through Hosler Wealth Management Tax Services. Any tax advice provided by tax professionals under Hosler Wealth Management Tax Services is separate and unrelated to any advisory or security services offered through Mutual Group. The accuracy, completeness, and timeliness of the information contained in this podcast cannot be guaranteed. Mutual Group does not provide tax or legal advice. You should consult a legal or tax professional regarding your individual situation. Accordingly, Hosler Wealth Management does not warranty, guarantee, or make any representations or assume any liability with regard to financial results based on the use of the information in this podcast.